Welcome to POLK Salad, where today we will have a bounty of conversation continuing our theme of repurposing, recycling, reclaiming. We have three pretty amazing guests, all very different, all in different walks of life, all reclaiming, recycling, reusing things, and I can't wait for you to meet them, so stay tuned. Welcome back. Thanks again for joining us. I am so excited to have our first guest here with us this morning, who is an amazing person and has an interesting take on what we've been talking about in our latest segment, which is repurposing, reusing, and recycling. So with us this morning I have Jalet Farrel, and she's going to tell us a little bit about what she's doing. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
So you told me that, well, first of all, you go to, what church is it in Monmouth you go
Praise
to?
Assembly.
Praise Assembly in Monmouth. And you take these little vintage trailers that are not in very good shape, you refurbish them from like the inside out, and then you take them and deliver them to people for rent. Now, we'll talk about that in a minute. But first, I want to talk about how it is that you got started doing that.
Well, you know, it goes completely back decades.
Good.
Because when I was a little girl, we went on a camp out with a bunch of other friends. And while we were playing in the creek, this little trailer pulled up, and it had these red gingham curtains, and it was just so small, and it was red and white, and to me it looked like the best version of Hansel and Gretel's house. And so I thought, when I grow up, I'm going to have one of those. I think that looks so fun. Well, that lay dormant for 4 decades. Or
like
more.
Most of our childhood dreams, right?
Correct. And one day I just got to thinking about things that I wanted to do on a bucket list, and I thought, you know, I really would love to have one of those vintage trailers. So my family,
by now were vintage.
Which by now were vintage, exactly. Really what I wanted was just a little trailer.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted something small. I didn't want the great big places because it seemed too scary and overwhelming to me. So I started looking around on Craigslist, and lo and behold, Father's Day 2 years ago, there was one in Prineville. So I brought it up to my husband because he didn't know anything about the secret dream.
Oh, he didn't?
Not a thing.
It was just tucked inside of you.
Tucked inside. In fact, it was a little bit tucked inside for me. I'd forgotten about it.
Yeah, until you saw the trailer.
Until I saw something that kind of sparked it. So we drove over the mountain right after church on Father's Day, looked at it, offered the gal $300 for a train wreck, and we borrowed a vehicle.
I take it wasn't in great shape.
There was broken glass all over it. A teenage boy had lived in it for a couple of years.
Don't get
on
too
his
graphic.
own. Well, exactly. There were things in the potty that shouldn't be. And my husband poked his head in on the inside, and he said, "You better have a vision because I don't see it."
Wow.
So we offered her money. She took it. We hauled it home. I stayed up all night long, cleaned it up, painted it, and he says, "Oh, now I get it."
Isn't that amazing? Now, what I know about you, which our viewers may not know yet, is that you worked at a hardware store for a long time.
I did.
So my guess is that you learned a lot of how to fix and repair.
Yeah.
And mend.
I'm pretty fortunate in the fact that my family had grocery stores, hardware stores, and during high school, my mom and I had a paint and wallpaper business.
During high school?
During high
you were
school.
doing this. Wow.
So I had a skill set that I could bring to it. But the best thing for me was YouTube.
Really?
Because there were things I didn't know how to do, and I would just look at a video and go, "Oh, yeah, okay, I got that. I can figure that
like
out."
replacing glass and all these things.
It's a different kind of plumbing in an RV, so although I had some basic understanding, and you don't need that much more, there were things I didn't know how to do or if it was the correct procedure, and so I'd watch a video or look on a forum, and poof.
There it was.
Sweat and labor, and I was done.
And time. It takes time.
Lots of time.
The reason I mentioned where you went to church was because when you and I first started talking about this, you said that you actually started because you wanted to have a ministry. Was that right?
Exactly.
Tell us about that.
Well, it was kind of born out of my all-night cleanup, and I thought, oh, this is going to be so fun to take the family and be able to go for weekends with my sister and just relax. And the more time went on, the more I realized that this wasn't really my idea at all. It was an inspiration, and that the inspiration actually was much bigger than me. And the idea was to take the trailer, to fix it up, to rent it out so that there was enough income to pay for a pastor and his family, or a pastor and his wife, or a pastor alone to just get away during the week, not have any expense, and have a little sanctuary and camping.
Right.
And so it was a way for me to help a family that serves all the time. Relax.
And doesn't have a ton of money, which we typically, pastors don't.
Yeah, not a lot of pastors are very wealthy.
Right, right.
And so it was kind of a twofold gift to me to have the trailer. I mean, I picked it up for $350. You can't even find them for that anymore.
Well, now it's all trendy, right?
It's very trendy to be a glamper.
A glamper? What is that? Explain that term.
A glamper is glamorous camping. And so it's a coined term that has become pretty mainstream, but it used to be that you had to explain it to everyone, and now somebody has seen something about it usually, or they've seen a bright pink flamingo painted on a trailer that's got polka dots and has been glamped.
So it's fun.
It's very fun. They often have chandeliers and feathers and fur and think Mardi Gras, Terry.
Mardi Gras, okay, I gotta get that. Fun concept.
Very fun concept.
So you take them, and I've seen what you can do, and we have pictures that will flash up so our audience can see as well. And you make things like, well, you told me about one that you delivered to a couple that was getting married.
Yeah, that
and
was
the groom
fun.
stayed in it the night before, and then they spent their honeymoon night in it, and then you go and you dropped it off at a park, right? At a state park.
Exactly. Well, it was actually a private park, which is here nor there, but it was up in Tualatin area at Horner's Hideout. And they play a lot of frisbee, golf, and that kind of stuff out there. But it's also a beautiful venue for a wedding. So the bride and groom were going to be leaving early the next morning, but lived about an hour and a half from the venue, so they didn't want to drive all the way home. Right. And so they rented the trailer. The groom got dressed in it, and then after the reception, they just stayed there the night and hopped on somebody took them to the airport from there. So
that's
it was
such a great idea. And I've seen one of your little trailers with just so cute, the way you have your touches on it, and the curtains, and the outside, what do you call those? Not pennants, but...
yeah, pendants.
Is that what you call them? Those, and then the...
Banners.
Yeah, banners, and the bunting sort of thing. Yeah,
that's the word we're looking for.
That's the word we're looking for. You just add all these touches that make it, I guess it is sort of glamorous and fun. And then you made a little tent to go outside of one with dowels and 2 sticks, basically.
That was very fun, and I have to completely confess that was a Pinterest-inspired project because I'd seen so many for children, like inside the house camping, and I thought, well, gosh, why couldn't you make that into a picnic tent so you had some shade and it looked a little romantic? Yeah. So I basically took longer sticks. I made about a 1x2s and a 5/8 dowel and drilled it out at the top.
And did
crossed them and put fabric over the top.
Unbelievable. And so, do you now have 2 trailers?
I have 2 running, yeah.
And one small one and one bigger one?
One's a 10-foot, one's a 15-foot. One's a 1970 Shasta with the little wings. And the other one is a 65 kit companion that was made in Caldwell, Idaho. So it's a little bigger.
You mean 1965?
Yeah, way back.
Wow.
Way back.
My goodness.
So that's the one that was my first trailer, and it's all sunshine yellow and looks like, to me, I always describe it as my picnic basket because it's just fun. And the other one I kind of call my Zen den because it's more earth tones and quiet. And my personal preference would probably to take them far more over the top. Yeah. But since I rent them and try to make them comfortable for guys, I don't want to put them in the pink flamingo. Right.
I know. Well, I understand that. So one of the reasons that I wanted to interview you today while we're doing this segment on repurposing, reusing, recycling, because it seems like you're doing all of those things. So you're many of us pass by, scrap shops, junk places, and, all this stuff that ends up not being used or in the landfill. And you're saving these trailers with all kinds of plastic and metal and glass and wood and all these things. You're reclaiming them, I guess. But you're also I love it because I didn't know you had this childhood dream. So I think that the real us is when we, because I always ask people when I do workshops for teachers or whoever I'm doing them for, what was the first thing you remember that you wanted to be? And almost inevitably we can go back and see that, that's, like you're saying, it's an inspiration. Yeah. Something puts that in us, okay? So you have this inspiration, and then you use it to serve people who are serving. I mean, I just think for my purposes I believe that we do all this stuff because gratitude, of gratitude. And it seems to me like that is a complete and total term with the way that you're doing these trailers.
I think it's developed.
Yeah?
Yeah, I do. I would have to agree with that.
Yeah.
It's not something I set out to do, but...
Right, and you just let it...
Yeah.
You just went with your dream, and then you got the inspiration to do it for ministers, and that has to be completely gratifying, to be able to support this by renting them out and then be able to give that gift.
Well, I think it's a lot like having a bed and breakfast. You're giving rest.
Yeah, right. That's true.
So it's a good feeling.
Thank you very much. And I know you, and I know you make all kinds of things out of all kinds of things. And so I think just what I love about, what I'm learning about doing this segment, and I think what our audience is learning, is that when people do what's in their heart to do, it just takes them someplace they maybe never realized.
Absolutely. It's a first step on a journey that you may not know you're leaving on.
Isn't that true?
Yeah.
Oh, well said. I couldn't say it any better. So thank you very much for being with us this morning. I really appreciate it. And stay tuned. We will be right back with our next guest. Welcome back to Polk Salad, where we are having a bounty of conversation on our recent choice of program, which is about recycling, reusing, repurposing. We've had some fabulous guests. I hope you've been tuning in. And we continue that trend here with David Pederson, who by trade is a plumber, but also is a hobbyist barbecuer. Anyway, we'll interview him and let him tell you how that works and what he's done. Thank you for being here this morning.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
So the way I met you was that you're my plumber. And you're a fabulous plumber.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, thank you. Because, these are things we don't want to have to deal with, normal, regular people. But then you told me that you barbecue on the side.
Right.
And you're called a hobbyist barbecuer. Is that right? What does that mean?
Well, I'm not, to really be a professional caterer, you have to own a restaurant. And since I only do it part-time, I just don't have the resources to do that.
Right.
So I just basically come to people's homes or do private events, private parties, and barbecue for people.
And is hobbyist a label?
Not
or
really.
That's just what you call yourself because you're not a professional?
That's because I'm not a real professional. I don't have a restaurant, basically. So when you told me that, then I have at my bed and breakfast a big party every 4th of July having to do with the festivities here in Monmouth and Independence. And we barbecue for 60 or 70 people. And frankly, I'm tired of it. So when you said, hey, I know how to barbecue, I asked you to do that. And I have to say, people were very impressed with the barbecue. Good. But because I'm doing this series, I was really impressed with what you were using to barbecue on. So tell us what that was. We have a few pictures that'll flash up. But I mean, a lot of people, there's a lot of popular barbecues out there right now. Traegers are very popular, and they all do a great job. But I didn't have the money when I first started out to buy a $2,000 Traeger or Mac grill.
Is that how much they are?
Some of them, yeah.
Wow.
I had lived down in Texas for a while, and I saw all their barbecues they have down there, which are mainly big propane tanks. They're mounted on a trailer, and they just build them themselves. So when I wanted to start in a barbecue, and like I said, I didn't have a ton of resources, but I did have stuff available to me as a plumber.
Right.
So I took old, 100-gallon boilers and took the tanks out of them and converted them into a barbecue.
So a boiler, is that like a hot water heater?
Yeah, it's like a hot water heater,
in
but
the
a little
old
bigger.
Days, right?
And, basically they're just hotter. So we still have boilers, but
we do.
The definition is dependent on how many BTUs they put out.
Okay.
That's boring stuff, though.
That's the stuff we don't know about,
right? Right.
But we're glad you do.
Yeah.
But so I think you told me that the one that I saw were two hooked together.
Right. So I built one. I built the first one. I have a good friend, Walter McDermott, who helped me do some of the welding and everything. And gosh, it just started traveling all over the countryside as soon as people find out you have a barbecue, right?
Really?
And so pretty soon one barbecue wasn't enough, so I had to find another water heater and add a second tank to it to kind of expand.
So I think you told me you pulled one out of a school? Is that
Yeah,
right?
one of them actually is out of one of the schools here in Independence. Actually,
Really?
the water heater that had went bad, and we replaced it, put a new one in, and so instead of hauling the old one off to the scrap yard, I just took the shell off and was able to reuse it. So.
And then where'd the other one come from?
The other one came from a church down in Lincoln City.
Really?
So it's just kind of funny that I still remember where they came from because the 100-gallon tanks, there's not a lot of 100-gallon water heaters.
Right.
So when I was building these, I was always really excited when I found one that
Well,
had
yeah,
gone bad.
because they're giant. I mean, I
Right,
can
they
see
are
how
big.
you remember one.
Right.
They're huge.
Right.
And do you cut it in half? Is that how
Yeah,
you do
you
it?
lay it on its side. And
It must have had all kinds of.
It did. The one was a gas boiler, so it had all kinds of heat tubes going through the middle of it, so we had to cut all those out and weld new ends on it. The other one was an electric, and it was a little more easy to transition over, take the elements out, and then cut the door in, which is really not that difficult.
Really?
And they're glass lined, so you got to get any of the loose glass out, clean all that out with the pressure washer, and clean them all up. It's really pretty simple. Weld the racks in, and I built my own burners in them out of just, again, stuff around the plumbing shop.
Really?
I just used black iron pipe and drilled holes in it and built my orifices for the gas burners actually are just built out of, again, black
All
iron
plumbing
pipe.
material.
Yeah, all plumbing stuff out of the plumbing shop.
I love that.
Yeah.
And then you just hook them to propane tanks.
Right, and then the one has a smoker on it, so if I want to add smoke, I just build a little fire in there. So I get the smoke flavor,
Okay.
but the gas gives me that consistent heat source, so I can cook
So
consistently.
the gas still cooks the smoker, but the wood gives it flavor?
The wood gives it flavor.
So you're not actually burning
Right,
it?
so in my opinion, wood smoke should complement the meat, not be an overpowering flavor. So that's why I prefer the gas.
Yeah. So that's why you're good at what you do. And the other reason why I was impressed was because you told me you learned barbecues in Texas.
Right.
And so you have secret recipes.
I do have a couple secret recipes I don't tell anybody. But barbecue is amazing to me because it started out as a food of poor people.
Right. That's where all good food starts out,
Right,
in my
and it was
experience.
the cuts of meat that these people could not afford. And in Texas, it was the German people who taught everyone how to cook brisket. And they took this piece of meat that had no value, it was tough and chewy, and they put it in a smoker for 18 hours at a slow temperature. And it's so good, it's became so famous that it's in some of the most sought after restaurants in the world. New York, Las Vegas. So the tradition of barbecue, I just love it.
And so what turned that tough piece of leather meat is the cooking.
Right.
The time.
Cooking it, you're not cooking to a point of doneness, you're cooking to a point of tenderness. So kind of like a crock pot, but a much different environment, and you're breaking down the tough sinews in the meat until all of that's gone, and you just have this nice tender piece of moist meat.
Wow.
Yep.
And so you have your own rub.
I do.
Which you're not going to tell us.
I can't tell you the recipe. That is one of those fun little traditions in barbecue, is some secrets.
Right.
And so some of my rubs are very secret
and good.
And good. Yeah.
I can say from experience. We had, at our open house, we had many barbecue guys there. They have their eggs and they have their Traegers.
Right.
And they were, I know, around you, as you were grilling, they were grilling you, right?
Yeah, right.
What are you doing? And how's that, And it seems to be this sort of almost secret club or something. I mean,
barbecue to me, what I love about barbecue is when I think back in my childhood, I have a lot of great memories around a barbecue.
That's true.
And so to me, barbecue is about getting together with your family and your friends and just making good memories.
That's true.
It's a perfect environment for that.
It's true. And as you say that, I realize barbecue smoke is, it's not like we barbecue for funerals.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's always something
Good
fun.
time. And you smell it and it brings back those memories from the
Totally.
past. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
So, but then I said to you, because you do this so well, how come you don't just do it? And then you're like, I'm a plumber. Am I going to make? I'm not going to make that kind of money.
We have a plumbing company that it keeps me busy, and so I don't really want to give up my day job for it.
I don't want you to give up your day job either. I'm just saying, you're amazing
Mm-hmm.
because you're young and you have little kids and you have all this energy. You're doing plumbing. You must get calls for plumbing all the time.
Yeah, got several ringing in my pocket right now.
I I know, right? What are you doing talking on a TV show when I have water in my kitchen? Yeah. So thank you for doing that. And so what is, to me, it looked like a lot of work. I mean, just the fact that you back the trailer up and you have all this stuff.
There's so much more to it than that. I mean, when I come to a barbecue, I might be there for 5 or 6 hours, but what people don't realize is I've been working on that piece of food since the day before. Sometimes it's 24 or 48 hours I'm working on prepping the food and cooking it. Some of it cooks for 18 hours, and some of it has to have a rub on it for 12 hours before that. And so, yeah, it is a very long process, but the end result is really good.
It is really good, like super. And I'm from Louisiana. I mean, South, we do barbecue.
Yeah, you know what good barbecue is.
I do. That's why I was.
And it's not as common here. That's part of what makes it so enjoyable for me, is sharing with people a style of barbecue that's not, it's catching on here very quickly, but a lot of people haven't experienced pulled pork that's done right, or brisket, you know. They're used to grilled chicken or salmon. That's kind of our traditions here, and so it's fun to
bring that in.
Grab some different traditions from around the country and bring them in and share them.
So were you working in Texas? Is that why you were down there?
I was actually down there on a mission for my church.
Yeah. So you lived there?
I lived there for 2 years, right.
Wow.
And so lots of time knocking on doors, visiting with people. You know. And so, and barbecue is just such a huge part of their culture there. It was just really fun to have people share that.
What part?
San Antonio mostly.
San Antonio.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is a big mixing pot.
Right.
You know.
Got all
kinds. You got Southern influence, barbecue, Mexican food. So good. Yeah.
So you learned from,
I learned how much,
professionals.
Food can create such an environment, you know.
Right. Yeah. So when you barbecue, like you're at your house prepping meat, do you do it on something different than what you bring out, or do you? Because you can't bring a hot.
Right. Well, like as far as the rubs and everything, I put the meat in the refrigerator with the rubs on it, and then.
You don't have to smoke it for 18 hours. You just.
I do. I smoke it for 18 hours. It's in that smoker cooking overnight. Right. Very slowly. Yep. All night. And the good thing is, it's not a lot involved with it. You don't have to flip the meat over or anything.
But you do have to kind of.
But you got to monitor the temperature.
Exactly.
Right. So a lot of waking up in the middle of the night and checking on it.
How long you waking up in the middle of the night checking on it?
Right. My wife loves that.
I bet she does. Especially got 2 little kids. The baby who just went to sleep.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Right.
So, but unlike many people, I mean, you do all the prep with the meat, and you do all the, buying it and securing it and prepping it. But not everybody makes their barbecue grill.
Right.
So you've done all that work.
Yeah, it made it a lot more enjoyable for me. A little more personable.
You like that?
Yeah. It's fun to,
it just looked like a lot of work to me.
It is, and that's, I have more barbecues that are half built, right? And they're not quite finished because, again,
You're
time.
You're going to do more? How come?
I just need, sometimes, if you're cooking for 500 people, sometimes what I have just isn't enough. So
do you sometimes cook
expanding.
For wow.
Yeah. Yep.
So right now you just have the one big one that I saw.
Right, and then a couple of smokers which I purchased.
I
just did not have time to finish my smoker that's half, like I said, it's half built. So
you are building a smoker too?
Yeah, I have a big smoker.
Wow, so that's why I wanted to have you on the show, because we're doing this reusing, repurposing, recycling, which we've talked about with some older people here, comes from our parents or grandparents growing up during the Depression.
Right.
So you just don't throw things away.
Right.
You reuse them. But the fact that, and we also talk about just not having, like you say, the resources or the money.
Right.
And you're a plumber, and I love that you love barbecuing, and that you love the whole process, the science, the sociology behind it, all that. And because you love it, you created this kind of hobby, sort of side business for yourself.
Right.
See? Because to me, it just looks like a lot of work.
Right.
It's like, really?
Yeah, I don't know. I just really enjoy sharing it with people, and it's funny. Like I said, you build a barbecue and you think you're just going to barbecue for a few little personal events, and pretty soon your friends find out you have it, and they want you to cook at their wedding, and it just pretty soon you have people knocking at your door saying, "Hey, come work for me," and it's like.
And will you do that? I mean, if you have time.
I mean, for a while there, I kind of cut back because I was just so busy. But I enjoy it so much, I decided to, do it on the weekends.
And I guess summer's the time to do it.
It is. It's a summer thing.
So you don't. I mean, if someone calls you, like I knew you and I asked you to do it, and I'm sure friends ask you. But if somebody just calls you, you'll consider.
Yeah, like I said, I do private events. I don't serve food to the public unless they want to get a temporary restaurant license. We can do it that way through the county.
Okay.
So.
Well, thank you for being here with us today.
No problem.
And thank you for saving that hundreds of pounds of scrap metal from the landfill. Thank you for bringing that. I just think it's like a miracle all these things work together, you know, that you bring this experience you had in Texas and now you bring it here
yeah,
to
you know,
us.
for me, like I grew up on a farm, so building something yourself, that's just what we did.
Right.
You know, I mean, if you wanted something, you weren't going to go out and buy it brand new. You had to figure out how to make it yourself, and so that's just kind of how it's always been.
And it's working for you.
And it's worked out well for me, yeah.
Right.
I'm grateful for those experiences.
Well, good. Well, I know that you got your phone ringing, so, you know, we don't want people to get mad at us here at POLK Salad while their kitchen floods. So thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for being here. Hope you're enjoying the series on repurposing, recycling, reusing, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to POLK Salad. Thank you so much for joining us today as we continue our segment on repurposing, recycling, reusing, reclaiming. And as we're finding out, you're finding out with me how many people are involved in doing this in one way or another. And today our last guest is Kevin Hughes, who is actually an employee of Western Oregon University, and one that I hear many comments about, not him personally, but the campus being so beautiful all the time with flowers and gardens and trees. And Kevin has a big hand in that, and I'll let him talk about that just a little bit. Thanks for being here.
You're welcome.
So, Kevin, tell me, what is your actual title here at Western?
I'm the landscape supervisor, landscape maintenance supervisor.
So you're the one who makes, you know, every time I go, people love walking through campus because it's like walking through a garden.
You know, actually, I enjoy walking through campus. I really do, and it's not a one-man show at all. It's a group effort, and I've got 7 great crew members and some great students that work for us, and so especially during the summer where we maintain all the flowers and weeding and things of that nature.
Right.
But yeah, it's, you know, I just really enjoy campus also.
Good.
I really do.
And how long have you been here?
Been here a little over 25 years.
My goodness.
Yeah.
I hope that doesn't mean you're leaving soon.
I'm not gonna say
right.
a word.
Okay, we won't go there.
Yeah, really,
We won't go
really.
there. So are you from here?
Yes, actually, my wife and I, we live at Suver, which is 10 miles south, and we have some acreage there, and we've lived all of our married life right here in the area.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Did you go to school here? Is that what brought you here?
No, I didn't. Actually, I went to school in Lebanon, and my wife, she went to school here when it was OCE, so she was here for a little bit, and then. We got married and we lived in Independence for a little bit, and then we moved out to Suver and been there for over 30 years.
Yeah,
so,
well, good.
Yeah, it's been great.
So I found out, and our guests did too, our viewers did too, when Patrick was on the show, and he told us a little bit about Move Out Day. And there's something that you and your family do on Move Out Day. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, we actually, my wife came up with the idea that, and then we started mulling it around and to where we could call the Union Gospel Mission of Salem and ask if we could have some barrels placed here on campus and to just reclaim some of these household goods and clothes and food that the students are just kind of last minute leaving, or they can't afford to take it home, or they just can't put it in the car, you know, and where they would leave it in a barrel, and so we talked to the residence halls folks, you know, Patrick and Tina and everybody, and they were on board with that. And then we were able to call the mission, and they bring us the 55-gallon barrels.
Oh, so they bring them to you?
Yeah, they bring them to us, and then we make sure they're labeled so everybody knows where it's going. You know, where so there's.
So you and your family do that?
Correct.
You make sure it's labeled like what, different dorm labels? Or?
Well, no, these are labeled for the Union Gospel Mission, what goes in the barrel.
So they aren't mistaken for a trash can?
Correct, yeah. So this is basically what goes in the barrel, and it's pretty simple, and, you know, usable goods and items and anything, you know, anything, a lot of pictures, and basically it helps the not only we have an opportunity to reclaim a lot of this stuff and keep things going from the to the dump and to the landfill, but we also have an opportunity to help people. You know, it's just really neat, and you know, everybody needs help, and so this is just a neat opportunity for the Salem area, and that's the men's mission and the women's mission also in Kaiser. There's one in there. Yeah, there's one.
And so what do you put on? What are some of the? What do you put on the barrels? Like
on
what
the barrels?
goes in there?
Yeah, there's just On the label, you mean?
Yeah, I mean, just like household items?
Correct, yeah. We do household items, food, clothing, shoes, and there's, I can't think right offhand the rest of it, but there's...
Pens, pencils, school supplies.
Yeah, school supplies are big, especially for the women's home with the children, because it's a women and children facility. And that's a great big one. And people have been really generous. I mean, overall the students are great.
Yeah, I noticed that.
They've been very generous, and they want it to go someplace that'll be used or reused. So.
Patrick and I were talking about that. It seems like this generation, these more recent generations, are much more aware of giving back or recycling or reusing or taking care. I don't know. I don't remember being that aware when I was in college.
No, you're absolutely right. And I've seen it since I've been here for 25 years, and I've been in charge of the recycling program, that I've seen it improve every year.
Is that
right? And that's really neat, because a lot of times, a new group of students will come in and it'll get lost in the shuffle, but the residence halls is a big driver for the green team and sustainability.
Yeah.
They're huge, and they've really established a good program. And that's helped a lot. I mean, that's helped a ton. So
that must be gratifying.
Oh, yeah, it is. It is.
And
to see the improvement. I mean, instead of seeing stuff in the dumpsters and the trash, that we were able to recycle them or reclaim them.
Yeah. So I think, do you know how many pounds of stuff? I think Patrick mentioned.
Yeah, with barrels and poundage, and I was talking to the crew from the mission, and it was over 2,500 pounds that we were able to rescue out of there.
How long have you been doing that?
Oh, it's been, we missed last year, but we've been doing it for about 4 years, I think.
Right?
Yeah. So it's been really neat.
Right. And you make it sound sort of like offhanded, but that's kind of a project.
It is.
I mean, how many barrels are we talking about placing?
We're talking about 28 barrels to 30 barrels, and so it's but then like I said, we usually place them in key areas where it's easy for people to recycle on the way out, and in the dormitory, and then they have recycling sections in each dorm, and then we have some outside that. Next to the dumpsters, so people can see them, so they can make that decision whether to throw it away or not. So that's a big thing. And but anyway, it's worked really well.
That's a huge project.
Yeah, but it's doable. And it's fun, and you get to interact with a lot of people, and people, like I said, students are great, and they can't wait to give it away.
That must be so heartwarming.
It is. It's heartwarming, and I'm very thankful for them. I'm just truly thankful for these guys. So it's been a great program. So
good. And so do they come like days before move out day?
Correct. Yeah, I usually have them bring in the Friday the week before, and so I have them bring them in on a Friday, and we'll capture some of the items from students moving out the week before the actual move-out date. And then during that whole week, we'll be checking barrels and everything, and we store them at the physical plant, the bags of products.
Oh, so you pick it all up every day?
Well, we try to.
Wow.
We try to get through there. Actually, I did it about 3 times a week this last time. But then my wife and family came in on Friday, and we just went to all the, they picked up the barrels on Friday, and then that's when we get the tolls, and that's when I get really excited.
Yeah.
So that's kind of neat.
How many pounds are you picking up?
I know, exactly.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah, it's really neat.
So it becomes a family project.
Oh, it is. It is.
For you and your family.
Yep.
Well, you're being the recycle man. Your family's probably already attuned to the importance of that and how you can do it and that sort of thing.
No, you're absolutely right. So it's been and we recycle at home all the time. I mean, it's just I'm very
Yeah, I visit parts of the country where that's not such a big I mean, it's not a habit. To me, it's a habit. And being here in Oregon, I find that people who live here have such an appreciation for the beauty that they are grateful for it and they want to take care of it. And it's not necessarily that way nationwide.
No.
And it's always very surprising to me how people fill their trash cans up, you know, with so much that could go into recycle.
We talk to students from other states, and they say the same thing.
Do they?
Yeah, you know, so it is Oregon, so it's kind of unique, but we are gung-ho recycling here.
I know. Well, it's so beautiful here. It'd be we'd be remiss, I think, not to take care of that.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
So I'm curious about one thing, and that is, you know, you put the barrels next to the dumpsters, but sometimes do they have big things like furniture or things like that that they put in the dumpsters, or are y'all able to recapture that?
Well, sometimes we do capture chairs, tables, ironing boards, TVs. Small refrigerators, small appliances.
All that goes to the mission?
Correct, yeah.
My goodness.
And from the mission, that will either go to the mission thrift store, and where they would sell it, and then all the proceeds go, you know, for the operation of the mission. Or there's a voucher system that people who need it can come in and get vouchers, and then they can, you know, if they need a small refrigerator, if they need clothes or whatever, that they would be able to get that. Yeah.
What a wonderful! I tell you, the Union Gospel Mission is an amazing.
It is, and it's been here, you know, since I was born in '53.
Is that right?
Yeah,
you just shared your age with us. Thank you. I'm not going to do that.
No, really.
But I had a pastor one time tell me, because you know, you see people who obviously need help at times, and they're on the road or whatever, asking for money. And my pastor a long time ago said, you know, we give to the Union Gospel Mission because they do it, and they do it so well.
They do.
So if people really need help, they can go there and get all kinds of help.
Right on.
So that really relieved me, you know, of not thinking, oh, should I give money, should I not give money? I was like, as long as they're doing it in Salem, or in the area, I know they can get help.
Exactly.
You know?
No, that's very good.
I know. It's such a relief. So thank you very, very much for doing that. And thank you for being willing to come and share with us about it. It's very inspiring. So you probably don't need any help doing it, right? That would be just overkill.
Oh, yeah. But
you have your family. You have everything else. Because you have your regular job going on.
Correct, yeah.
Which is getting ready for graduation.
I know. Commencement's the day. I know. That's the day. So
I mean, move out day and commencement. And these are big for you. Because boy, the campus is beautiful for commencement.
We really put forth that extra effort to make it look good for all the visitors and grandparents and parents and the students, and it's just fun. The commencement day is a great day to be here on campus.
I mean, you can feel it all over.
Oh, I know.
The celebration
you can.
just in the air.
And people are just very kind, and people are just, you know, they just want to have a good day, and it's all for the students, and away we go. Yeah,
and then you add more to that by, you know, making more work for yourself. With all these barrels.
You know, the work is a joy. It truly is a joy, and it's just to me and my family, and to anybody that does this kind of stuff, it's just a true joy to be able to do that. So
you're a joy, and your family too. And thank you very much for being here.
No, thank you.
And thanks for taking time out of your work day, which I know you're in the middle of. So I appreciate that very much, Kevin.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for being with us, and stay tuned. Well, I hope you enjoyed our segment today on Polk Salad. I hope you enjoyed our guests. I think their phone numbers were on the screen, so if you'd like to get in touch with them to ask how they do what they do, I'm sure they'd be happy to share that with you. And remember, if you want more information, go to our Facebook page and like us, Polk Salad, A Bounty of Conversation. And thank you so much for joining us. We will continue this series throughout the summer and the fall. There's so many people out there, and you're probably one of them if you're interested in this segment, who are taking things and reusing them and reclaiming them and repurposing. And some people do it just because they're creative and they get their creative energy flowing that way. Some people do it because they care about the environment, and some people do it because they don't have any money. So all of those reasons and more we heard about today on our show. So thank you so much for tuning in. And be sure to like us on Facebook and be in touch. And until next time, I will see you around town.